Well, it's bad pre-banter, isn't it? So far.
I mean, I got the bit earlier when it was just us complaining. I can't believe this fucking didn't turn up.
The half hour slagging him off, was that?
Yep.
You got that bit?
That's perfect.
Yeah, or doxed him and got his real life address to send him hate mail.
Please, just someone to visit me.
So lonely.
Oh.
Just want someone to care.
You got your Star Wars toys. You don't need anyone.
That's why.
My Legos.
That's why. Some people just don't mind the stalker sitting in the tree with binoculars. You know, you just feel less lonely with him there, knowing he's watching. Someone cares.
Someone cares. Someone to look at my collection besides me.
Hey gang, editing me here. Just a few things to mention. First of all the audio is a Discord recording audio because of several recording issues, which I'm about to tell you about. So if it sounds kind of crap and the mixing's all over the place, like Monster's really quiet and then Fred's really loud, I can't really do much about it because it's just on the same track. Second of all, Fred's camera is going to cut out about halfway through when his Discord disconnects. And there'll be a small pause, and then he didn't get the recording for the second half. So sorry about that. And then thirdly, Dav doesn't have any camera at all because he forgot to record his POV. Very cursed episode, but it's a podcast. You mainly just listen to it in the tier list. That all works. So that's the most important part. You can definitely see that. So hope you enjoyed the episode. Goodbye. That's all for me.
Hello, everyone. We're the Old Grumblers, and today we have our lovely guest with us, Dav Plays.
Hello.
He does a lot of cool multiplayer stuff on the YouTube, and you should check him out. Today he is our guest because we will be checking and doing tier lists for every single faction. Usually you'll see these for single player or main multiplayer, but today I always get a little bit annoyed when we try to argue with each other about how multiplayer ruins something or single player complains about stuff. So I wanted to bring everyone closer, and we'll see that maybe we're closer than we thought from the get-go, because that's what games are all about. Focus on the actual enemy, which are corporations and investors that ruin everything. Not the other dude on the other side of the fence.
Unless they are in the investors.
Yeah, they could be, in which case,
Like them.
If there was an esports team that was solely investors, that'd be pretty tight.
I'd definitely fight them.
An esports team made up entirely of shareholders.
Ugh.
Is there?
Ooh.
No ways. Do they just get chairs then in the things, or is it like actual chairs then, or what's?
I don't know. Anyway, so as you can see, hopefully if I've done this right, we'll all be below these glorious tier lists. And one of them is multiplayer, one of them is single player, and that's it. We're trying to spend too
How
much
do
time.
we know which one's which? Have you?
Oh shit! The
left one is single
them?
player. The left one is single player.
Your left or my left?
This one is single
Damn
player.
it. God damn it.
This one is multiplayer. Single player Beastmen, multiplayer Bretonnia.
Right.
I'll remember.
Good.
Okay.
Okay, it's fine. I'm fine. I'm with it. Yeah, good.
It's going to be a long day.
Oh boy.
Right. Let's just go in that order then, in alphabetical, right?
Definitely.
Right, so Beastmen.
All right. And we're also going to say
Beastmen
like
the first one?
Yeah, B.
Yes.
Is that in alphabetical?
Yes.
Because Chaos Dwarves
No, wait.
C. So.
All right. Well, we're just going to rearrange them as we go along, or we're just going to do them in the order they were. It's fine. I don't like.
Sounds like a more preferable idea because I don't need to do anything.
Okay. Are we? We're also going to say that it's not going to be just about faction strength, because it's so hard to gauge that sometimes, because technically, no matter how shitty the faction is, the worst one, you're still going to be able to win on legendary in single player, and somebody's going to win it on like super easily as well. Like, we're going to have to check like relative strength with everything else.
Are we also just going like raw dog power? Just like no fun at all, it's just power.
No, fun is definitely going to be a factor as well. Definitely.
Oh, this won't take any time. There's only 12 factions.
I will lead this conversation like you will think I am Napoleon himself, and not just because I'm short.
Napoleon wasn't short though. That was a historical inaccuracy. He was actually average for the time.
Fred's not short. He's like 6 feet tall, isn't he? Or is that just short these days? compared to monsters.
I've been
it-
information.
It was so like propaganda. He was actually like pretty tall. I'm actually not that short either. But
This is the most disjointed intro of any
I just
podcast.
wanted to. God damn it. God damn it. All right.
I can't help but feel it's mostly me derailing it, but
Beastmen!
Right. Beastmen. How would we rate this for single player?
Pretty high.
I would say pretty goddamn high, because at the end of Warhammer 2, they were like the strongest faction there was. After the
you know what? I will go so far as to say I think any faction which has limited missile units tends to be seriously very strong.
Just pop them there for now.
Interesting.
Let's move them.
But Dav, you also play single player, right?
A little bit.
Little
Yeah,
bit.
the Beastmen, because you have so much like hidden stance and ambush going on, like it's super easy. I feel like anybody that has like easy access to good ambush, like increases, it's very easy because ambush is the most feasible thing in the game.
Yeah, single
Really
ambushes make like hard fights incredibly easy. They are strong. They don't have to pay anything. They have really strong, like some of the strongest legendary lords. They can just hide. They're basically the trickster, but before the trickster almost.
Yeah, they're
They've
pretty hard
also
to kill.
got a decent victory condition, which is rare.
Yeah, it's not too much.
What is this? I
It's the ruination, isn't it? You just get to tier whatever.
Yeah, so basically
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just using their internal sort of resource, just like do that, which is a lot more manageable than just
It's
trashing
more fun
80
as well.
stuff.
It's more fun than just like 80 stuff. Yeah.
Yes, safe
least you have
S tier for
some
Beastmen, I would
gold.
say, actually.
Yeah, either S or A tier. I'm also gonna like preface this with like you don't if you personally think like you as you who's listening to this think that something is S tier and we put it on A, or like it's one tier to and from, it's meaningless. We probably think the same thing, and we just like we probably have the same opinion about it. We just put them in different categories. It doesn't really matter. It's like arbitrary in that point. It's just like relative to the rest, I guess.
So what about
No, it does matter a
multiplayer?
lot actually, and you should write like 10 different comments and reply to every other person in the comments, making your point.
I will take that engagement. What about multiplayer for the Beastmen? Obviously, you can't
Beastmen
really
are
like-
very good in multiplayer right now. I mean, every Monogod DLC like has given them something like the past two, and so they like Centaurs of Tzeentch are insane right now. Yeah, I would probably put them like high A tier probably as well in multiplayer. They're very strong.
How do Minos and stuff like that usually do in multiplayer? Because in single player, they're like probably the strongest type of unit you can have is Minotaurs.
They're good. I mean, Minotaurs are especially the anti-large ones in certain matchups, and like the Butchers of Kalkengard, the ROR,
Yeah.
because Regiments of Renown tend to have a lot greater of an impact in multiplayer because you only have one army, right? So you can take all the RORs if you want to, but yeah, they have some really good ones, especially, and more so though, it's really the strength of their Centaurs, because in multiplayer, mobility is very much key, and the fact that Centaurs are very good for the cost generally, if used well, they are definitely the power piece of the Beastmen.
They only have like 2 slow units as well, or like 1. They only have the Cygor that's really slow, and if mobility is key, they're just like they're fast bastards. All of them.
Definitely.
Speaking of fast, something that rides horses a lot should also be fast. So onwards towards Bretonnia. And Bretonnia, like in single player, are one of the strongest ones. They're probably A tier or S tier. Probably like A tier because they need like they need a little bit more for S tier, I would argue.
I would say that they are dragged a little bit down, and this is me personally because they're not that fun. Like playing as a Beastman, you're like, I'm on a tear here. I'm destroying everything. Playing as a Bretonnia, it's like, right, I got to complete these vow side quests first, and then I've also got to manage my chivalry
Yeah.
for no reason.
I would put them in B personally.
I would probably agree.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to get to their really broken units. Like their high tier units are incredibly broken. Granted, like Grail Knights are limited to 1 in multiplayer. Generally 1 or 2, literally, because they're so strong. But I mean, you have to get to tier 4, tier 5 before you can get there. And I don't know. Depending on the start position you're into, it can be tough to rush it that quick.
They have one of the best economies in the entire game.
They
Yeah,
really do.
They're boring.
They do. I would argue A tier still, if you guys want to override me on that, that's fine.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love a good economy. I do. It's just if I'm looking for fun, I'm not thinking. Let's look into the financial markets.
So this is how I play them,
terrible
guys. I never recruit anything else than horses. It's only cavalry.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, you don't want to recruit the poor people.
And then you have 3 lords following you around because then you get more chivalry. Then you get like literally 4 times the chivalry. Because chivalry is calculated with like you get 15 for a decisive victory and 40 for a heroic, for example. But it's per lord. So you literally get it like 15 instead of 15. You get like times 4 if you have 3 lords accompanying you.
Counterpoint though, chivalry, kind of a boring mechanic.
Yeah, it's not great, but still it's like very easy to manage still. Like it's not fun, but it's very, very easy. And then the cavalry, like usually I have to like just sit around and wait to get like grain line stuff like that because I won the campaign with like tier 3 horses, tier 2 and 3 horses easily. People will maybe say, oh, you have to micromanage them so much. Yeah, you really don't. You literally put them in there and then you win.
Yeah, but the lords are quite boring. Luon is just so vanilla it hurts. The Fey Enchantress is not much better. And Rapance is, I mean, she's probably the most interesting one, but her mechanic just makes it slightly more irritating.
Luen is like the best.
You're forgetting about Alberic.
Who?
Oh, Alberic exists.
He's down in Lustria. Alberic the Bordelot.
No, we don't talk about Alberic. Luen is like Luen is great. He's like an 80-year-old dude who's just been, thinking about honor for so long. And then he's like a super powered superhuman with a French accent and a cool little mustache.
Well, maybe he should look at the inequality in his own kingdom then.
It's only inequality if you think that peasants are people.
So multiplayer, how do they perform in multiplayer?
Is there an S plus tier? Like, can we put them
Holy
like
shit.
above S
Holy
tier?
shit.
Like up like the next one up? No, seriously,
I
because
have no more tabs.
like tournament rule sets strictly limit how many Grail tier units you can take because they're that strong. Like Grail Guardians, Grail Knights, Hippogriff Knights, stuff like that. It's just insanely strong to the point where you can only take like 1 or 2 depending on the tournament rule set. So yeah, that's where Bretonnia is at.
I feel like we're going to kind of trend towards the top. And then we're going to get to vampire counts and I'm going to be faced with a cruel reality.
Oh.
But high elves, I feel like they're okay, but I don't feel like they're as good as they once were because everyone else is kind of like caught up and overtaken them a bit.
D.
I
hate elves. Fuck those guys.
No, not how
High elves
you
the worst.
realize. No, high elves are super goddamn strong. They're still A tier at the very least.
Oh, no,
Influence
this is so boring.
Influence is so strong.
No.
Influence is so strong. You can literally make other people hate
boring,
you. You get everyone to like trade with you. You have some of the best missile units in the game. You have like Sisters of Avalor.
Yeah.
You have Silverine Guards, which are like the strongest ones.
They're a bit
You
boring.
take your tier 2 archers, right? Your Lothran Sea Guard, and then just that's it. That's the only unit you need the whole campaign. So that's why for me,
you can
they're
take other stuff as well.
B or C
Sometimes you
tier.
want your Lothran Sea Guard with shields, and they're tier 3. So it's not a fair completely tier 2. But like Sister of Avalor, the best archers in the game. We have Silverine Spears, which are like, which ones are better?
Weight Watchers. 360.
Yeah, okay.
shooting stock,
Yeah,
3 more damage.
it's like really, really close between them though. Like, yeah, Way Watchers are better. I will concede on that one completely.
You live on a toilet seat though.
But
That's true.
but if Way Watchers are S tier, Sister Avalors are A tier.
Yeah.
Right. They are very strong.
Okay.
But if you've said we're factoring in fun, because if we're factoring in strength, this is a different list. But because we're factoring in fun, they're just not that exciting.
Yeah.
This is your doing, Fred. I asked you to include fun. You said yes.
I will say though, in their defense, that at least the the influence mechanic they get does mean you can recruit characters with meaningful starting traits.
They are A tier, you stupid bastards. God damn it. Like
You know
at the
what? I'll
very
agree with
least.
you only because of the community art. The art the community makes of the elves tends to be the best. So
I just
We'll
like
just
how
leave it
Fred
at that.
started off with the, you know what, it doesn't matter what we put him in, you might disagree. And now he's like, the fuck are you doing?
So wrong though. How can you like, oh, it's tier list, like elves are D tier?
Are we going fun or are we going strength?
The only
It's
thing
both,
they're
kind of-
the only thing they're not, you can't like see like, oh, they have some of the strongest like artillery because they have like some of the best goddamn cavalry, some of the best chariots. They have like some of the best.
Don't. Cavalry's mid at best.
yeah, dragon princes are like I would rank
They
them
are-
among the lowest of the elite cavalry.
Yeah, see?
Wow,
So-
in my mind anyway, they're pretty cool.
They've got
the Raidmer
effectively
Renown
just-
ones are anti-large at least.
They haven't learned how to use guns like normal people.
They're,
The cavalry's
they're so
mids.
pointy.
Right. I don't wish to alarm anyone. We are 31 minutes into this recording. We have done 3. There is 24. So we need to make some
How
decisions.
they do in multiplayer? How much they
All right.
suck in multiplayer? Come
They're
on, let's know.
Solidly mid tier, B or C. That's yeah. I mean, they're a faction that exists. They have some stuff. They're fine.
God damn it.
Okay, thank you. Moving on.
And now onwards towards Khorne, who is in fact incredibly strong in battles, but very poor on the campaign most of the time. Rampage has been dealt severe blows all the time. They do have access to Minotaurs, which makes everything easy as long as you get them. If you get them, because it takes a goddamn long time. You're going to starve yourself quite a lot with money. And, as long as you have Scarbrand, Scarbrand's going to win by himself if you want to.
I think the thing with Scarbrand is you're not building an empire. You are creating an army with Scarbrand where you control A and double right click on the enemy army. And after 2 minutes, that enemy army has ceased to exist.
The thing about it is that even if you're not creating an empire, that's how you recruit stuff. You're not going to guess units if you don't do this.
You don't need an army when you got Scarbrand. He's basically fine by himself. You just run around murdering people, and maybe an empire happens, maybe it doesn't. It doesn't really matter, to be honest, because you're having a lovely time.
I would rank them as B tier personally.
That high? I would rank them probably arguably lower. I don't know. I feel like Scarbrand's campaign mechanics work way better in Realms of Chaos. Like his start position in the desert,
it does.
like everything's so far. All the settlements are like 2 turns apart where he starts, so it kills your momentum so hard. It makes that early campaign such a slog. I would rank him like D or F, honestly.
It just feels like playing worse
As much as I
a little
love
bit.
Khorne.
All right. Well, it's up to you guys. I'm not gonna fight hard on Khorne. Khorne is whatever, honestly.
And would anyone like any higher or lower than C, or are we happy to let him kind of sit?
I think C, it sounds like C is a good.
Army good, campaign bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes-
Ogres.
Which
Whoa,
No, we
whoa,
need to
whoa,
do the
whoa.
multiplayer next. Come
The
on.
entire
yeah.
point of the video.
Khorne
Hot tabs.
would be good
Yeah.
in multiplayer, but they're actually not. So I mean, I would rank them similar place in multiplayer just because they don't have any abilities or AoE damage, which is super important.
What would you say, D
I'll-
then maybe?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, unless they get some buffs in the next couple patches, I think that's probably safe.
Or just I don't want to put words in your mouth. If you want C or anything like that, just it's up to you. You're the multiplayer experts. We trust you with
Yeah, that's
anything.
That's entirely fair.
I think D is fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I would also say like ogres are probably around there.
I just thought I'd get that one out of the way because they are shit. They are so bad.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
ogres
campaign's
are
the worst
terrible.
for sure. It's like, oh, you want a mercenary mechanic? Best I can
It's-
do is one ogre bowl.
It's pretty funny that like say like, all right, so Warriors of Chaos, this launch DLC was total ass. Ogres of Chaos, let's do the exact same thing. They are completely garbo.
Don't forget pre-order DLC for Warhammer 2, Norsca. They couldn't even put him in the game for 6 months.
Not only that, but it actually delayed the entire release of Mortal Empires for several months. If rumors are
Still
believed.
came
That
out faster than Immortal Empire. somehow.
Mortal Empires came out like a month after the release, I think.
I think it was longer. I'm pretty sure it was like several months. I could be wrong, but
It wasn't 6.
maybe I'm misremembering. I thought it was 6. Yeah, I thought it was longer than they wanted because of Norsca. But
IE was 6. I don't think ME was.
Emmy was. Maybe I'm misremembering.
ME?
It's been a lot of years.
It really has, and it feels like longer.
It does. I was looking back at a video that came out in like 2021, and I was like, well, there's a different human right there.
Still had joy in his eyes.
And this has aged me.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair for ogres. What about in multiplayer?
Ogres do much better in multiplayer. I mean, they're probably C tier, like C tier, B tier. They're fine. Their roster is incomplete, but it's cohesive enough that they can do okay in a lot of matchups if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, I think we should preface this with like, in single player, obviously battles matter, and ogres can win just about anything. They are really strong. Once again, their campaign mechanics are so ass. I even tried it with the ogre hole, which changes like so you can move the camps a bit, so you can get more money from the counter stuff like that, and it's still pretty ass, honestly. Like it's still fundamental things they need to fix.
Yeah,
I checked by the
So
way.
so if anything is going to go into F, I mean,
Mortal Empires came out 1 month after.
Oh wow!
In fact, just under
mistaken.
1 month after, I think.
Yeah, and then they couldn't put in Norsca, so you had like those chariot armies harassing Carl for 6 months.
That's right.
Oh god, yeah.
It used to be a legendary lord. Let's save that for Norsca.
Doggo.
Greenskins, I would rank as a solid B tier personally.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think I'm gonna be honest here. I think the goblin units and legendary lords are a lot more interesting than the orc ones.
Yep.
Orcs in fantasy are pretty shits. In 40k, they're really cool. But in fantasy, just goblins are fine most of the time. They're more funny.
Where did we say? B, C?
I'm going to say B. I think
I will say B.
It feels like all the orc units, apart from black orcs, are just kind of meh.
Nah, I would say like even black orcs are like too squishy for their tier. They're super squishy in single player. I don't know.
It's just they have a lot of armor, but as we've mentioned many times, armor don't mean shit. Get them some melee defense.
Yeah. Like what they
important.
Yeah, what you usually do is like I did a Scarsty campaign. You just do like the sneaky stabbers. What are they called? The
nasty skulkers.
Nasty skulkers. Yeah, exactly. That and fanatics. Like that's all you need. Then some Ragnarok spiders for coolness, because Ragnarok spiders and lava Ragnarok spider I actually love. That's like one of my favorite units in the game. It's literally a big spider that does AoE damage and then like poops fire. It's cool. Other than that, like the greenskins don't have anything that like actually appeals to me. Or
no, like the cavalry is terrible. Their artillery is meh.
The cavalry might be terrible in multiplayer, in single player, but it's very good in multiplayer. Mostly just because cheap volume and it's armor piercing. And like you can take way more than your opponent. You can take like 8 cavalry units pretty easy. And
are we talking squig hoppers or are we talking boar boys?
Yes to all. To be honest, they all have different roles, and even squig herds actually they got a cost increase recently because we're only 300 points, which is, I mean, for armor piercing anti-infantry like fire and forget missile, basically they're very good for the cost. So yeah, it's interesting because in multiplayer, greenskins mobility, I mean, they're light cavalry, they're heavy cavalry, all the way across the board is super strong.
Yeah, I've always also played it on Legendary with all the like AI buffs. So it's like easier now in Warhammer 3, but usually, before times, they had like 25% more melee stats or whatever it was. So everything that was slightly okay would be bad. So it needed to be like pretty good to be actually good.
Yeah. I feel like cavalry also in the old balancing, cavalry in general, just in Legendary, has a little bit of a harder time, I feel like, in general. Unless they're really, really strong like Bretonnia's. But like with greenskins, you don't get a lot of campaign buffs to your cavalry, if I'm not mistaken. So they don't increase in power very much beyond their starting power, which I think is also part of the problem.
But is it because the greenskins are so cheap in multiplayer?
Yes, generally. I mean, like boar boys are 650. Orc boar boy biggins who are anti-large, armor piercing, like okay stats all around. I think they just got a cost increase to like 900, 950. So reasonably cost effective. Like even the top tier Savage Orc biggin boar boys are only 1100, which is, compared, that's like less than even Reichsguard, right? So they trade cost effectively into a lot of stuff, which in multiplayer cost efficiency is the most important thing, probably.
That's interesting because I often feel like even on sort of like the medium difficulties on campaign, you're usually outnumbered anyway. So you kind of have to go for what's most efficient.
Yeah, it's the biggest difference between single player and multiplayer. I think is like in single player you have to win 3 battles in a row maybe, but in multiplayer you only need to win 1, and it can be pretty pyrrhic, and it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, you win with 1 unit left, and you won.
Yeah,
Where am I,
a win is a win.
Where am I dropping these guys?
Yeah, I would say A or B tier. Probably A tier, actually. Skarsnik's Enrage is really strong now with the change, too.
Right. Lizards.
And now, Lizardmen.
I don't know. Probably lower than I'd want. So campaign mechanics,
in terms of
I just
excitement, F.
Oh yeah, their campaign mechanics. Not as ass as Ogre, but pretty ass.
What do you mean campaign mechanics?
Like the Geomantic Web sucks.
It's only the DLC characters that have campaign mechanics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Geomantic Web isn't a campaign mechanic. That is literally a building.
It sucks.
Doesn't even do anything. Then Blessed
Oxyotls got some good.
Yeah, Oxyotls they got some. He used to be the easiest campaign in the game before the Trickster was in.
I'm putting him
like.
In... Yeah, sorry.
I would say C, like at least C, because they are strong.
Yeah, their roster's just so good.
They just don't have a lot of stuff, but there's nothing fundamentally wrong with them. They're not one step above ogres by any means at all. They are they're pretty strong. They just
I think it gets to the kind of point where I go, okay, I know that, for example, my skink or my Scar Veteran has got a dinosaur. Do I care what dinosaur they've got? No, they've just got a dinosaur. That's fine. It basically goes, I've got Saurus warriors, I've got dinosaurs. That's the two. That's the 2 genders of Lizardmen, and then I just charge over the enemy, and that's how I win. I don't really have to think about it too hard. Yeah,
you start off with having a bunch of swords going forward, and then you sprinkle in dinosaurs, and the dinosaurs become more and more, basically, and then you just go forward. And then things that are in the way, you just use magic on.
Yeah, even as Oxyotl, I'm going to use my chameleon skinks, and I've got this other army which is basically Saurus and dinosaurs, and they are far more efficient. Like I would just roll over enemy armies, where with Oxyotl you've got to be a little bit sneaky, which is fine, but I could just Control A and double right click on the enemy army and delete it.
Yeah, I mean, like they're very strong, but they're not that bad. I would say that they have to be in D or F tier or anything like that, they have sucky campaign mechanics. Because it's not just the campaign mechanics. Yeah, I guess so. C or B.
I'll leave him in C for now.
I would agree. Now in multiplayer, they're probably S tier still, even after the nerfs in this last patch.
Oh, really?
Slans are the best generic casters in the game, and you now have access to almost every lore of Magic, like all the generic lores at least. Which is insanely strong. Their troops generally tend to be very cost effective, like skinks, especially again with that recent change where they get a little bit of a buff when they're by Kroxigors. Like the skink plus Kroxigor combination got very strong in multiplayer. So even after the nerfs, as long as you know what you're doing, you can pretty much construct a build to take out any faction or army. So they have a lot of good tools.
How are Dreadsaurians in multiplayer? Are they better there?
Situationally, they're good. If they're in a matchup where they're not going to get shot very much, like Warriors of Chaos, say, then they're going to have to fight against some enemy big monsters. They'll shine big time, especially with the Life Slan to heal them.
Yeah, that's fair. They don't do that well in single player since they do get shot quite a lot by almost anything.
Yes.
Speaking of shooting, the Dwarfs.
Yes.
C.
D?
I would say S tier. This is what I would say.
After
S tier.
Their roster is just so packed. Age of Reckoning kind of stinky.
No. Look, if you guys are bored with the game, that's a different thing. We're gonna have to talk about that at some point. But you can't just they're boring with everyone.
I think there's that case you're gonna have great. The dwarves are just very one fiddle, and the fiddle is you sit back and you shoot people, which is fine, and they're very good at that. I'm not going to deny that, but it is quite boring, and it might just be that I find city back shooty armies a little bit more on the boring side.
But I just love that.
I think I might be able to compromise here, and we put them in A tier, maybe. But I would say S tier straight away.
I mean, S is a bit too generous. Their campaign mechanics ain't all that great. They're okay.
I think so, because you have the Rune Forge. Now you have a good Book of Grudges. Age of Reckoning stuff is gonna get tweaked until it's like better anyway. It's probably gonna take a couple of patches, but that's just how it is.
Even though the Age of Reckoning felt very undwarf-like with how fast it is, and they are already updated once, and I think they're going to update it probably a couple more times based on people's feedback, but like it felt very undwarf-like. Granted, I play very fast in campaign and aggressive, so it fit well with my play style, but yeah, I mean, in terms of like sitting back shooting armies, yeah, to a degree, although they have some more stuff where you can try and make some fun thematic armies that are like all slayers that do that a little bit less.
Yeah. I just did an Ungrim army. Well, a campaign.
It can be fun.
I mean, no, B tier, really?
I won't go all the way to S. But I think A is very suitable.
I concede. It's not just my tier list, which would be probably more correct, but I concede. Concede.
It's good for you. You've got the multiplayer one all to yourself, and we can't really say anything to disagree with you. So you can just put them wherever you want. No argument.
Yes, perfect. Just as planned. And on that note, Dwarfs in multiplayer. I mean, even after the DLC, they're probably not fully S tier just because of the way their roster's constructed. They're always going to be vulnerable to certain playstyles. Now, granted, the Thunder Barge is currently banned in multiplayer because it gets 3,000 value without you even microing a single thing about it. But once that's fixed, they might bump up to S tier, but with it banned, I think they're solidly high A tier.
For people who don't play multiplayer, what do you mean with 3,000 value?
So as units do damage, they accrue like damage, right? And it's calculated in multiplayer and in single player as well against the unit that it's damaging. It gives you like a damaged gold value, right? So like if you were to say this unit got 3,000 damage gold value, that means it killed 3,000 points worth of enemy troops.
Yeah, and that's much more important in multiplayer because you guys are on a budget, which we aren't in single player. So your budget is...
It's 12,400 in a standard multiplayer match.
Yeah, so 3,000 value is fairly insane for our units.
A quarter of your army.
yeah, so that people can understand exactly like what that actually means.
Right.
But all right, that's fairly that's similar. Cool. Tomb Kings. Damn, I haven't played Tomb Kings in a long while now.
Yeah,
they are.
I don't think they're quite.
There's probably a reason why you haven't played them, right?
Yeah, but Cetra is really strong still. Thematically, you go around, you try to be a megalomaniac in the sands. And I mean, like, that's still pretty fun. Their Shapti and Constructs are pretty fun. They did get nerfed now, the last one when they got the Construct thing. So now they can also get sad and die, which is fun.
Yep, I like that mechanic.
I would have probably say C. Probably.
I like the way that you don't have upkeep for them. I like the way that the resource. In fact, I think personally, if Total War was to go more towards that way of having unit recruitment, I think I'd be more in favor of it. I think it's better than the upkeep system they have at the moment.
I think units caps are definitely the way the way of the future to balance stuff. But that's we can take that in a different episode because Damneders is getting annoyed at us here because we were going on tangents. You see, they're like,
no, I think
it's been 45 minutes now, boys. We're in like
Kings are fine.
How many have we done? Handful.
It's mostly constructs, though, isn't it? Once you get sort of the late game, you don't have any skellies in your army. It's all Shabti and
you have some you have some halberdiers of tomb guards and stuff.
Yeah, maybe, but apart from that, you just don't really bother with them. But yeah, otherwise they're generally fine.
I don't mind them.
Yeah, I like the idea of the caps. Like, I like the system, and I think it would be good if it was implemented across all factions. But with them being one of the only like them and Beastmen, right, are the only factions really with any unit caps.
Yeah, and like Chaos Dwarfs.
Well, yeah, Chaos Dwarfs too, I guess. But in certain phases of the campaign, it can feel a little bit bad if you don't like have the right stuff set up and you have to just keep re-recruiting hordes of skeletons. I don't know. It feels a little janky in comparison to like unlocking power with other factions. So I don't know. I guess that's why I ranked them lower.
Yeah, I mean, like I'll concede. I'm not gonna fight about C or D tier. It's not like the Elves. Elves, I definitely think should be higher up. But
they shouldn't. What about in multiplayer?
I'd probably rank them pretty similar in multiplayer. They're old and outdated, and a lot of their single entity constructs suck in multiplayer. So
Yeah, because that's the balancing, right? They haven't really gone into ultra health balancing yet. They still have like the old balancing from large units or whatever it is.
correct. Yes.
Yeah.
The Dark Elves.
So for people who don't know, a lot of units in Warhammer 1 and 2, the game was balanced around large unit entities, like large units in the graphic settings. So once you go like up or down in that one, like everything will have different health points, especially if it's like a single entity monster or a single entity units. And when they went over to Warhammer 3, they started balancing it over like in ultra mode instead because it looks cooler. People have better PCs now, like 6 years later. And it kind of works, but a lot of the big monsters just haven't gotten an update, so they're still like done to fight smaller amounts of units, things like that.
Yeah, they struggle to be effective because they're fighting against much larger HP pools, and their weapon strength, for the most part, didn't get adjusted. Like there's a handful of examples, like the Giant, where they did get adjusted and are actually decent now. But...
Yeah, literal dinosaurs, the rest of them.
So the Elves of the
Dark Elves. I would say that they are C tier, personally, because they are worse high elves in every single aspect.
No, they are not worse high elves. They are better high elves.
Tell me one thing that is better about them.
Because they put effort into being evil.
Okay, but in the game,
they still put effort. Look, Dark Elves are the guys who are gonna, if they raid your village and cart you off, they're gonna make sure that you are sacrificed in a really evil sacrifice ritual type thing. They're not going to half-arse it. They're going to make sure there's lightning, there's going to be rain lashing down, it's going to be the big of top. It's going to be amazing, right? They're going to put a lot of effort into that. It's going to be a whole big thing. High Elves, on the other hand, just can't be asked to do shit because they've got Lotha and Seaguard and they don't need to. So, frankly, they can fuck right off.
Also, Black Arcs. Black Arcs are a cool mechanic.
Yeah.
Why are Black Arcs a cool mechanic? I will argue with anything you say.
Naval mechanics in Total War are cool.
The recruitment's good.
God damn it. Nobody even says anything I can argue with because it's just nonsense from you guys. They're evil and they have a boat. No one else has a boat.
That has a circle, and if you fight in the circle, you get extra bombardments. It's cool.
Okay, so basically they have artillery.
Yes.
And they have recruitment, right? From the boats.
Yes.
And an army that is cheaper. Now,
and the boats can attack coastal settlements too.
Yeah, if you ever do that, don't pretend you're like gonna do that.
All the time. I always sail upriver in Cathay with that's like the only thing to do in
Cathay,
campaigns. Sail upriver.
Yeah, Mr. Squid Face.
Yeah.
McCracken Face. So otherwise, like in normal circumstances, it would only give you recruitment, some extra cash, and bombardments. High Elves, on the other hand, have like actual army abilities, like for example, Walls Anvil that just crushes walls.
Yeah, it's boring.
They also just have global recruitments.
Who doesn't?
And they have a better economy because they just have trade partners that turn like 50. You're just gonna have like 8 or 12,000. Because if you guys haven't checked this, Elven trinkets are like worth at 14 or something like that. It's like much worth as like a diamond or something like that to sell, and you can just print that anywhere because it also does control.
Right, listen to me, right? Elven trinkets, right? What are Dark Elves? They're elves. They could do Elven trinkets, but they're not going to sell themselves that cheaply.
So they've got the moral high ground as well. Instead.
So I think they should be strong beta.
Also, you can recruit demonettes if you're playing Wrathy.
Demonettes.
You got a sexy lady.
Hotter.
They're so bad. I haven't tried them since they got buffed, but damn, I can't think that they're that much better. I would rather probably get Dread Spears anyway.
Hey, Fred, I think you just lost this one because Dark Elves just hotter. The questionably incestuous relationship, possibly. Never
let it be known.
That's a plus too, so there could be some downsides, but
let it be known that I'm fully against this.
Okay.
Fully.
Multiplayer?
A tier. They're one of the best balanced armies in the game. They've got great missiles, great monsters, not great cavalry, but decent. They're awesome.
can see Fred just losing the will to live.
Just compare like martial prowess with murderous mastery. What even is murderous mastery? It's like a couple of seconds of being a little bit better instead of just being better than constantly.
90 seconds at the most important point of the
That is
battle, usually.
So the Norsca.
It's so salty, Fred.
Norsca.
What have you got against Goths? Oh, poor Norsca.
No, I literally love the Darkest. I'm not even kidding. Malekith is literally one of my favorite campaigns in the entire game. But I would never say that they're as strong as the High Elves. Not a million billion years.
Yeah, but Norsca.
Norsca goes in F.
Sorry, guys.
Honestly, like they have a really cool like cool battles. I love their roster. But like, dang, their campaign is so ass for so many reasons.
Have they fixed the Monster Hunt quest lines yet?
Probably not.
No one knows because no one plays it.
Have they ever worked?
No one's played it.
If Monster Hunt is fixed in a Norse campaign, but no one's there to play it, was never fixed at all.
That's the dead easy one. Norsca, they're just shit.
What about multiplayer though? Were they good in multiplayer?
They're in multiplayer. They're definitely in multiplayer, so I would put them at C tier because they exist.
Wow, I'm amazed that both the Tomb Kings and Scarbrand exist, but are worse.
Oh, I guess you should probably put them in D tier if that's the exist tier.
D tier is the exist.
Look what you took from them.
Where they belong.
I mean, they're not bad. They're just kind of there. I don't know.
All right, let's not go fully into. I don't like playing this campaign because in reality, I got burnt out and only like 2 campaigns now mode. But Tzeentch, Kairos, it used to be a brutal start, now much better with his DLC add-ons. Trickster, easiest goddamn campaign in the game.
Yeah, a little bit.
Has insanely like good stuff just in general. Personally, I would say A tier.
Yeah, I'd say A. I'd almost say S. I think Kairos is an S. I think the Changeling is an A, simply because all of the...
Changeling is an A and Kairos is an S.
You know what? I like the Changeling. The problem is all of his like grand schemes are really depressing. What's the good term for it? Basically, there's a lot of build up.
I was trying to like really like memorize what you look like now, because if I ever look at myself in the mirror and see the same thing, I know that dementia has gripped me fully. Okay, I'll know that I'm long gone, and my family is just there to support me.
Bless them. So all the schemes, you've kind of got this big hype, like, oh, you're going to move the Black Pyramid, and then you do, and you think, oh, great, this is going to be amazing, and it does nothing. It literally does nothing. It's the saddest campaign mechanic, I think, in the entire game, because it has such potential and then just does absolutely nothing with it.
It feels a bit like playing Dennis the Menace. Just like throw water balloons at Empire's like, oh,
yeah.
Stop it.
I mean, like, I'm not going to argue with that, but it's like Trickster is stronger than Kairos.
He's possibly the most overpowered lord in the game, but you can't lose.
He is 100% the most overpowered one.
For me, he's so strong. He goes all the way up the top of the list and passes over back into F tier because he's so boring.
Basically,
like, there's no tension. There's no chance you're going to lose that campaign ever.
Yeah,
so
no, it's just like
point?
You log in, you do the campaign because you just want to mess with stuff and you just want to see big battles.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, which is why it's so depressing that all of his big schemes do absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Speaking of big battles, how does he fare on the big multiplayer battle scene?
S, maybe S plus. I mean, Tzeentch's barrier mechanic in multiplayer is obscene.
Oh, yeah.
It's just disgusting and should be banned. But
yeah, I mean, like
even with like Kairos getting regrowth removed, because that was a big problem as well. Like healing the Mutalith Vortex piece or whatever else just would kill everything. So the Tzeentch is nuts. They're very strong, even still with the nerfs. S tier.
I would probably say Tzeentch is S tier for single player as well, but Kairos' economy is still like pretty bad.
They lose a point.
It's still not a hard campaign, but I mean, could be better.
Nurgle now post rework Nurgle.
S tier.
For campaign, it's okay.
I would say
I
would say A or B tier personally. He's not. They're not that strong. You still have like shitty garrisons that are mainly as plague bearers.
Yeah, you don't need to worry about that because you just plague everyone.
I think they're more fun than
God
Tzeentch.
damn it! No, not you again. I had somebody who only plays like the game so shittily on like that I argue with all the time that I was trying to teach the game. And they were saying, "Oh yeah, Nurgle, you just plague." This was even rework. They were saying, "No, just plague them, bro. Just plague them. It's easy to play them." You're bringing up PTSD here.
Well, it is. You just plague everyone. I don't know what the problem is. Like that's basically what you do.
They have
everyone on attrition a plague, and then they all die, and you're like, great, done.
They have strong lords, and with the mortal units, they're still pretty good. I mean, like they're not bad or anything. I'll concede to A tier, but they're not S tier. Go on.
Yeah, their campaign rework took them from an F to an A, which is pretty good. That's good.
Yeah,
I mean, mostly just by fixing the economy, which was garbage.
And
Although
the cyclical buildings, incredibly stick.
Yeah, but they still got incredibly expensive buildings.
Yep.
Yeah, no one knows why.
I'm assuming it's because their military buildings don't cost anything, but they've got separate issues which I've gone into on length. But I still don't understand why their money building costs quite so much when you can build like the Greenskin money building is like the first rank's 500 and then it's 1,000, then 1,500, and it produces almost the same amount of money. And
this is your argument for S tier?
No, that's my argument for I think Nurgle kind of gets sticked over because of the cyclical building thing, which they still haven't quite managed to balance. It's kind of another Khemri problem where they're trying something different, but they have no idea how to balance it against everything else. So they just end up going and making a mess of it.
Do you still think they should be A tier or?
Yeah, because they're great. They're a lot of fun.
This may be recency bias, but too bad.
I just like Nurgle. I just think he's neat.
What do the rest of you guys think?
No, I'm up with A.
I think that's probably fine. I think they're probably B in multiplayer just because they're kind of it's one of those factions. It's like they either are abusing or being abused. Like they're either abusing single entity healing or they're being abused by getting kited by missile units and they can't do anything about it. So
yeah, I do think that Lore of Nurgle is the strongest magic in the game right now. That and Lore of Life.
I still think Vampires is stronger, but it's up there.
I think so because
Summons,
they have something.
It's just so good. Zombie summons are ridiculous.
Yeah, zombie summons are pretty good. Winds of Death have been nerfed so many times, though it's not really that fun anymore.
No, but Gaze in the Gash recently got buffed with the change to the way multi-missile
don't
attacks
really use
work.
Yeah, magic missiles are way better now, though.
Some units now, or maybe not one shot, but like infantry units, it does a lot more damage.
Yeah, you don't use magic missiles that much in single player because everything levels up and they get more health, so it doesn't do as much impact on them. You need like way more late game magic missiles than you do in multiplayer. Multiplayer, though, I definitely understand why they would, because in like long range as well, like they always hit almost. Like
you can snipe enemy artilleries really easy with it. A big threat for sure.
Empire.
Yes.
I was going towards that.
But really, I would
good.
say A tier. I would say A tier. They don't have a good front line or anything like that. Yes.
I mean, yeah, but their campaigns are just so fun.
Halberdiers are still really good, and to be honest, with the amount of missile units you can field, I don't think you need a front line because everything dies.
Yeah, but front line be gunners, just more guns. Like what?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Blindsides.
I don't think they're as strong as the Beastmen.
No,
I don't think any
more
missile-heavy army is as strong as a melee-focused one, because if you're a melee-focused, and particularly as the Beastmen, they're very fast and they can Vanguard deploy, you can effectively, if you have one-on-one units, you can wrap around them and engage all of them. And as soon as you've engaged their missile units in combat, they're all dead anyway. So
wow, it almost sounds like as if in a tier list, ranged heavy army that can't ambush or anything like that would maybe be one step below then.
But because we're talking about fun, I would argue that the Empire has so many campaigns and they're all completely different and they're all a shitload of fun.
Okay, but now we're getting it.
Variety. Yes.
Okay, but think about it in 5 months when you guys have gotten bored with Elsef and Gelt and Karl because you played them now a couple times.
It's bold too soon. I'm playing the game right now. I don't know. I just feel like
I would say A tier.
All the Beastmen
I
campaigns,
could go with A tier.
with the exception of Torx, just feel exactly the same. Whereas
Yeah,
Empire just like
they are basically the same. All of the Beastmen campaigns. Yeah.
like there's
I
variety
fully
here.
admit,
They burn shit down. What they do, what they say on the box, basically.
I fully admit, and I'm an Empire main, and I'm totally biased, but yes, S tier all the way.
I think I'm going to stick in S tier.
They're below the
Eight.
Beastmen.
8. Yeah, put them on A tier.
Yeah,
Then if
but-
they're below the Beastmen.
No, but look,
But I think they're above
Okay.
the Dwarves, Kairos, and Nurgle.
Look,
so I
look,
think I'll
look. We have
go S
like
tier.
at least one more thing that's going to be in S tier anyway. Will Empire fit in there then?
Yeah, I think
will
it
it
will.
fit in
Just
the
'cause,
other one?
Partly
Yeah.
because I agree with it, and partly because
God
it
damn it.
annoys you.
Yeah.
Like each of the different legendary lords now has, well, except for maybe Volkmar, all the other legendary lords, like even Marcus with this rework to steam tanks, like you can rush getting steam tanks as part of his Imperial reinforcements and just roll through Lustria with tanks, and it's super fun. So I would argue all the legendary lords have interesting, unique mechanics that make their campaigns fun. Gelt especially, the fact that you can choose whether to stay or go. Like I don't know, I
was trying to
think Gelt is
balance
so much more.
this one like with fun and power, but that was a mistake. That was really a mistake.
No, you know what? Let's go with A tier because they haven't added Knights of the White Wolf yet. And frankly, that's bullshit.
You do notice sometimes how wrecked they get in some matchups.
Oh, the
though, with
AI is so bad. The Empire AI is so bad.
yeah, it is. But just I don't know if you don't manage to shoot them. They are really strong though. I'm not gonna say anything else. A tier is still like insane level strongs. S tier is just like reserved for the stuff that is
Right, let's go with A
like
tier.
quite
Right, how do they do
literally
in
broken.
multiplayer?
I mean, after the DLC, for sure, S tier.
Are War Wagons good in multiplayer?
They were, yes, for a long time. They're still decent, but now, like, you just take one land ship rather than 2 war wagons, and it does the same thing but better.
That would make sense.
The new upgraded, much better war wagon, the land ship.
I just remember having that discussion
War
in the
wagons.
Discord, and me going, "War wagons? Are you sure we're talking about the same unit?" And everyone's going, "Yeah, they're really, really good." And I'm like, "No, but those things, they're good, are they? Really? Are they doing something?" And then I realised you were talking about multiplayer, and I was like, "Oh, that doesn't matter."
Yes, war wagons are awesome in multiplayer.
It's
Well,
good because
there we go.
in single player. They
Now
have-
for Slaanesh.
I would probably rank Slaanesh quite low, but I don't really like their playstyle. So feel free to overrule me.
I would probably agree.
You know what? I really like fast-moving, aggressive units, but
There comes a point.
God, the fact that Slaanesh is both incredibly fragile and also demonic, which means that as soon as they get sad, they start disintegrating, is so irritating.
You can just have mortal units if you want to.
Yeah, but that's not as fun, is it? Then you
They're
may as
very-
well be playing Warriors of Chaos.
Yeah, why play Slaanesh?
Like
Yeah.
all your fast units are demons, so if you want to have fun, you got to take demons, and if you want to have a good army, you got to take mortals. And also, Nikari's start position is terrible. Like against all the high elves immediately, like you just die to high elf archers
Nah,
in the first turn. Like,
no, that's yeah, it is pretty difficult to keep them alive. It's not like impossible though. It's far from impossible. It is like really annoying though. I will definitely concede to that one. I think they're pretty strong. I think they should be like with Khorne and Lizardmen or something like that. Like they could use some work.
They're in this bracket for sure.
Yeah, around there, probably.
You know
Like,
what? I would keep them in D simply because Auto Resolve will dick you over every time you want to use it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
so
have to fight
the-
almost every battle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it will
this-
absolutely savage you every single
Yeah.
time.
the seduction mechanic is pretty good though. It's pretty fun.
That is you know what? Put it in
I like
C.
that
I've
one.
changed my mind. Seduction
Yeah.
overwrites it.
Which
Seduction is
one?
pretty
There's
cool.
like 3 mechanics that are all called seduction.
Yeah, exactly.
The-
How
the
would they
one
do
where
in
you-
multiplayer?
The false vassalize.
They're pretty bad right now. They used to be S tier when their mobility was good, but when they nerfed Hellstriders and they nerfed their like devoted Marauders, and now they're just terrible.
F4.
Oof.
I would put them. On second thought, I'd probably put Khorne in F and leave them in D because they actually have spells and
Wow.
abilities, whereas Khorne doesn't.
So we need to use this Barrett sometime. It can't remain empty forever. All right, Kislev, what do you think of Mother O Stankia?
F.
I think Kislev is still like pretty rough, honestly. Like it's like a D or a C rank or something like that. The campaign is difficult and they don't have many responses to it, so the campaign just keeps on being difficult. All the units are basically like, I can't remember which YouTuber it was that said that, but it's like having a really good cake. You know, you have like the toppings, you have the cool frosting, you have a little pattern, you have like different layers on the cake, and it's really nice. But like, and that's like the Empire, when you have like a back line, you have a front line, you have something in the middle, you have a mage. But in Kislev, everything is hybrid. So it's like you take that cake and you grind it down into a brown pulp. You serve that to everybody instead. And every single unit is that brown pulp because everything is a hybrid. So it gets like pretty boring in that way. Like nothing excels, but everything is sturdy and okay.
Yeah, every time I play Kislev, I'm just like, I feel nothing. I'm just bored.
Well, the thing now with Glorious Charge is you just rush their cavalry units and spam Griffin Legion and just kill everything in a single charge. Like,
that charge is very good. I like the fact that, I mean, I totally get what you're saying about the hybrid units, but I do think Kislev have quite a lot of variety. My problem with them stems from the fact that 50% of their factions, considering they're a faction based around owning their 3 capital cities, the fact that half of their factions aren't anywhere near their capital cities is just absolutely bonkers.
You don't want to start in Nagarond?
No, and I also don't want that final fucking Ostankia battle.
God,
even though
Veins
Ostankia has
coming
the most overpowered campaign mechanic in the game.
What, the teleport to the forest?
Yeah, the
Fuck off.
the forced holiday, the forced vacation mechanic, where you send Malekith all the way to Cathay and let him walk home. Which will never not be funny to me.
And even with that, is it?
Yeah.
What about multiplayer?
Border race still exists.
Fred died?
Fred died.
Oh.
Never mind.
No, Fred.
All right, well, he's not here. Let's just do them all real quick.
Sorry,
So
Dad, you're another new Fred.
So I think Vampire Counts are S tier.
No. Oh.
Oh, guys, he's gone properly offline. I hope he's like, this is like the most cursed podcast we've done.
Plus, I was really enjoying annoying him.
Oh, it's just messaging me on Steam.
While he's not watching, put Elves down to D, see if he notices.
Oh, yeah. Which ones was it? Dark Elves or High Elves? The one in D.
Hi, Elves.
Let's just pop that down there.
He's back.
Here we go.
There we go. That was incredibly weird. My Discord just stopped working on both my PCs. I was like, all right, well, that's cool.
How weird.
Yeah, I thought it was hacked or something. But no, it's just need to restart. It's fine.
Weird.
That's how far have we gotten?
No, wait for you.
About to do Kislev multiplayer, right?
Yes,
Jesus Christ.
multiplayer.
Everything just falls apart without me. It's like,
Well, we didn't.
We were going to carry on without you, but we decided to hold off. So.
We know how much you
I'm the
like.
one who gets
opinions.
angry.
That's right, exactly. It's no fun otherwise.
Yeah, it's good content.
Me and Monsters
Kislev
too British to get
multiplayer.
angry.
Kislev multiplayer is S tier, probably. Well, yeah, even after the nerfs, is still because.
Damn.
Yeah, Griffin Legion are still nuts. Winged Lancers are also good, and then all of their tough, like cost-effective hybrid troops are tough and cost-effective, so they're just hard to fight.
Yeah, I imagine for the Motherland or whatever it's called, it's really good in multiplayer as well.
Yes, by our blood, especially domination, but even land battles. Yes, it sometimes leads to your units getting fully killed when they otherwise might rout and come back, but it's better they just keep fighting, honestly. So.
Yeah, I always hate fighting against them in single player, so I can't imagine multiplayer is much more fun when you have an actual person instead of just Total War AI. Grand Cathay.
Grand Cathay! From the east, I would rank them as
This sort of area, I would
A
say.
or S tier.
A or S? Goodness me.
A tier at least.
I'd say A or B.
Power level wise, I'd agree, but they're just not super exciting. So I think
I love playing
fun factor knocks them down to a B, in my opinion.
But personally, I just love a good, like, just regular kind of historical faction with monsters and magic, because they're like sturdy frontline, good backline, good artillery, couple of monsters, cool, good lord, and they're like, yeah, that's perfect for me. That's all I crave. They're the Empire, but better before the last DLC. They had everything that the Empire was. They were the jack of all trades, but they were just better at everything.
But also,
Yeah.
a little bit boring.
Yeah.
Well, god damn it. Because they're like the reason why they're like A tier. Maybe Elves would be B or D or A tier as well. Because they're kind of the same seas with all stuff like, yeah, sturdy stuff, good stuff.
They're the human high elves. You know, they're strong. They're there. They're a little
Good for your
boring,
first
arguably.
campaign, but after that, you're ready to move on to something that's a bit more exciting.
Did you guys move down high elves while I was gone?
No!
You guys did.
They were always
God damn
there.
it.
Took you a little while to notice. I could just see you
Jesus.
looking at your screen like, hold on, god damn it.
Can't trust you guys at all.
How do Cathay perform in the old MP?
They've historically been S tier. Probably now with everything else that's been buffed, they're probably A tier. But yeah, they're balanced roster, and like you said, in many ways they're like the Empire, but better up until this last patch, right? So they could give a lot of factions problems, and like Jade Warriors being insanely cost effective for the price are a big factor as well.
They're crazy for single player as well. Jade Warriors, absolutely insane.
Don't they have like
there is better
90 armor
Dwarf
or something
Warriors.
stupid?
They got nerfed now, but they're still like pretty good. They used to be as the better Dwarven Warriors, and Dwarven Warriors were crazy all by themselves anyway.
Yep.
Right, vampire counts. It's gonna hurt.
This
Because
one
they
is
are definitely down
is
here.
weird though. Yeah, they kind of are. I'm playing a Vlad campaign right now. It's not like super hard. You can do Mort's engines and you can manage a lot of stuff. They are like a cool, good faction that hasn't gotten anything fun or good since 2018. And even in 2018, I was at Gamescom with Creative Assembly, and I was sitting like at dinner one evening, and one of them told me that like they weren't that happy with the rework, and they needed like a second one already then. It was like just a couple of months after the first one. But yeah, I don't know, man.
They've got such
I guess-
potential.
Yeah, they do. They are cool bus.
What new units have they had?
What do you mean? From 2018, they got a rework,
Yeah.
but their DLC units, the last DLC was in 2016, where they got new units. So all of it is old game design. That's why only them
What
and
units did they get?
they got
Corpse
corpse
cars.
carts, Mort's engines.
Woo!
That's
the
it.
Mortis
I think.
engine's not in release.
No.
Nope.
Huh.
Oh, they
They're
got
literally
Blood
the
Knights also as a free LC.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Vlad was also free LCs on the best campaigns. Was in free LC.
And Isabella. Don't forget.
Yeah, and Isabella, obviously.
The Queen.
Yep. No, they haven't gotten anything in a long while. The biggest thing
really
they've
not.
gotten is like Gorst rework, essentially.
Everybody loves Gorst.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
kind of do, weirdly enough.
Yeah, Mailman went from absolute ass to just goated, cannot be killed.
So, I mean, yeah, they are what they are. They're not weak, but dang, like thematically, I think the coolness factor makes them go up so much, because you always have like the coolness to cost factor with a lot of units. Same with factions. Like vampires are just so fucking cool to play and so fun, because there's just something about racing undead armies by the hundreds, just and murdering shits with Vladdy, Chad, and Manfred flying around. Even if you hate Manfred, which you probably most people do, but
Yeah, I think something that we should probably know is that like even the F tier, like this is like you can complete a game relatively easily, but it won't be fun. It will be completely fine, and then everything above is just like progressively more easy and more fun.
yeah.
Like even these factions aren't that bad. They're just compared to everyone else are so not good.
Yeah, because vampires are definitely going to be polarizing. They do have a strong economy. They do have everything else, but they are like, especially now after the last DLC, when I fought a bunch of Empire and especially Dwarves, like they don't have a lot of answers in single player for like Dwarven Ungrim stacks and stuff like that. It gets pretty gets rough, man.
Yeah. Slayers give you problems.
Yeah, Doomseekers are crazy because they literally just murder everything. They murder, like, you throw like large stuff at them, they murder them. If you throw like just chaff at them, they'll just tear through that. It's it's a thing.
What about in the old multiplayer? Do they have any hope?
They're okay. They're, again, pretty outdated. Most undead factions, granted, I should preface this by saying I am a known undead hater. I am not a fan of the crumbling mechanic at all, and
That's
generally have hated undead in multiplayer for the most part. So vampire counts being the worst defender because they're all melee means that, like with Nurgle, they're either abusing or being abused in most multiplayer matchups, so they're just not fun. But they're probably, in terms of power level, I'd put them at like a C tier. I mean, they're fine. They have some rough matchups. Yeah. A lot of people play them right now, but if you know what you're doing, you can still do okay.
Yeah, it's kind of the same as well. Like, they're fine. We have too many categories. They should just be like fine.
Yeah, fine. You should rename these
instead of C and D. Fine.
All right, Skaven. Dare I?
Skaven are probably ambush stance. A lot of DACA. They have workshop if they want to. They have laboratory.
OP. They've just got so much.
Skaven plague's a lot better now.
When you play them the first time, if you went not playing any Total War, immediately played Skaven, you'd be like, what the fuck is going on? Because there's just so much shit. But if you have any like semblance of knowing what you're doing, they're just so easy and so chaotically fun.
And just like Creative Assembly, we will also say scroll coup, just to make discussion much easier.
I like how it's his flag. I don't know why all the others.
That's why I have to say it. Yeah, like Ikid is still like insane. I feel like everyone in New DLC got their own little like nuke. Either you get like a Spirit of Grungy jumping in, or you get like the paracetamol or whatever they have for Nurgle, and then they have like the artillery. The artillery was really weird though when I used that. I couldn't use it well.
Just a short aside, because I used the Elspeth nuke in a battle, and I kind of used it, and I was like, oh, fine, I'll just do something over here. It's like, came back, nothing seems to have happened.
Oh yeah,
I watched the replay, and what it did, because it was a siege, it comes in at an angle, so it actually came in and hit a tower and didn't do anything.
Nice.
Fantastic. Brilliant.
No, they're probably S or A tier. Like, their economy is also cranks up the Jabesis.
Even recruitment buildings give you income. Like,
yeah, I mean, like, they're one of the only factions that if you have like a 2 place region, like, you're gonna have like 3,500 easy from that place.
Yeah.
They have such a good economy. It's crazy. And if you ever want to use like Undercities or anything like that, like, you can do that. So you can just abandon your city, get to tier 4 or tier 5 at like turn 10 or something, or turn 5 if you want to. Like, they're insane.
They have to be S. They're just so OP.
Yeah.
What about over in multiplayer?
I play them so much now though that I think I find most of them except for Throt boring, because hey, I just force me to have monsters. But I'll concede on S tier anyway. I would say A otherwise, but.
Multiplayer wise, I'd probably put him B tier with Nurgle. I mean, they had so many DLCs in Warhammer 2 that like they have so much stuff still, and like they've had some nerfs, so they're not maybe quite S tier like they maybe were in the past, but if you build your army right, like with so many others, they do very well. Actually, probably the best faction at killing land ships and steam tanks too, because of warp lightning cannons.
Yeah.
The Vampire Coast.
F tier. I just did like two campaigns of those. Like, I did Slaanesh and Arnessa, and it's F tier. God damn it, their economy is ass. Post battle loot, even to get like money from post battle loot, you need skills. Otherwise, you get like close to nothing. Everyone hates you. It's you crumble. You have nothing good. Like, they are shits in single player. Absolutely garbage. I hate them now.
Counterpoint,
absolutely, like,
every settlement you take is pure income. You just put all your money in shipbuilding, and basically just plays a horde faction. And a fuckload of guns and no melee infantry at all.
It's weird, isn't it, that as sort of like a pirate faction, you should be almost sort of just existing in the world doing your own thing. But as it's a total war game, that will never be the case, and everyone will always be gunning for you with everything they've got, trying to exterminate you. Which sort of
Ooh.
I definitely argue for F tier. You don't become a worse faction than the Vampire Coast.
Yeah, I think I agree right now. The only legendary lord that their campaign mechanics work well for is probably Noctilus. Everyone else
he can
just
do
doesn't feel good to play.
I think
if you have them in the same
only
category as counts, man, I'm just gonna detach myself from this project. Honestly, like that doesn't work at all.
He's the only one that plays like a pirate, because you can do hit and run, then run away to your whirlpool in the middle of the ocean, and people will come get you eventually, but they'll be half dead by the time they get there.
Right.
In multiplayer, however, any different?
I mean, I wouldn't say they're F tier. They still have lore of vampires, so they're probably still C tier. They're probably, I don't know. Weirdly enough, they actually rely a lot on their melee units, like animated hulks and depth guard in multiplayer in a lot of matchups right now. But yeah, they're all right.
Animated hulks are arse.
Yeah, they really
in
are.
multiplayer, they're so cheap. They have similar weapon strength to Minotaurs for like less than half the cost. So
Yeah, they don't have the cool animations.
True. Very true.
Demons. Bloody Daniel. Let's talk about missed potential. Jesus Christ.
F minus.
Ooh.
Demons are pretty ass.
Fuck
honestly.
demons.
Daniel's specifically campaign is just one of the worst, if not the worst, I would say.
So you have this campaign and you have this mechanic where you can build a demon, and that's it. They have literally nothing else. Just play Warriors of Chaos. They have nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, like
a much better economy with having like, you know, these mega cities rather than even like having a full, like Daniel has a full empire and his economy's so bad.
Yeah, I mean, like his entire thing is just a proof of concept that somehow made it into the game. It's just like, oh, we can make this. We should. Then it's like, no, you shouldn't. But just because you can, it doesn't mean you should.
I like the build a demon. I don't mind the settlement thing. I think it's like kind of cool having, all right, so this area's got all my Nurgle stuff, this area's got my Slaanesh stuff. It is cool in theory. They just don't have anything else. They don't have a research tree. They don't have any actual mechanics outside of building a demon. They've got the watered down mechanics of the other factions if they get their, favor high enough. They just have nothing apart from Daniel. He is all that there is. And he's just not enough, the lad.
Can we just talk about the insanity of even writing in Daniel the demon into the game? Be'lakor is like this bigger than life thing that's been around since the dawn of man, hiding in the shadows, cackling, right? The only one that ever got like the favor of all the chaos gods, like the only undivided demon prince, right? It's like he tricks all of them basically to doing that. He got so powerful that he almost usurped the gods. And he's just like this testament to hubris and the Chaos God's mistake that they can't goddamn get rid of. And then they just make it again. And this bastard man just goes like, this city, I'm going to specialize in Nurgle. This one, and and just doesn't even undivide.
But someone at CA wanted to do an Arthas.
Yeah, that is essentially the entire thing.
Yeah. Basically, I mean, you're right. I'm going to come out and say that I don't think that Demon Prince is necessarily horrific as a campaign. However, considering that you've got the Warriors of Chaos, Norsca, you've got a lot of options about how you want to play Chaos, and he is somewhere down he is at the bottom of the list.
Yeah, it kind of is like that. Sometimes some stuff isn't that bad that you don't even enjoy them. So I still enjoy Ogres. I still enjoy Norsca. Well, to some degree. But like, yeah, I'm not going to argue that they're good in that regard. I can still enjoy flawed things.
How did demons do in multiplayer? Because I would assume you just play the other factions.
Demons, you can't take in quick battles. So like people don't play them as much. And due to
literally unplayable.
Sadness, it's they haven't been great because demonic sadness is a thing, but with the demonic leadership buffs, they should be better. Again, the problem is people just don't play them that much, so it's not. Like, I don't really have an opinion because they don't have enough games to have an opinion.
You can automatically put them in F tier because they are. No one plays them because why would you?
Yeah. All right. Warriors of Chaos, S tier, easy.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
No,
absolutely easy. Absolutely the most cranked faction in the entire game. Absolutely.
Building thematic armies is super fun for me too, personally.
Yeah.
Like I do that in all campaigns anyway, and I feel like they have the most variety, especially now with like successive DLCs.
Yeah.
Adding stuff.
Yeah, we
were just talking about it before. Like when you open their units list in game, it's like that much stuff. It's just like hundreds of things, variants of variants.
Yeah, I also really like the fact that you don't have to paint the map, and you can get people to do it with you.
Vassals are so good.
It just makes the game so much better. Because you're not constantly worried about every single border of your ever-expanding empire because everyone's declaring war on you. You kind of pick your battles, which is just a lot more interesting.
I've done 2 streams where I try to take over the entire map in one sitting. Just sit there, not sleep or anything like that, in like 32 hours. And both of them has just been Archaon because it's just... I just enjoy it so much. Like, they're good. They're just vassalize. It's so much fun.
Playing Total War for 32 hours, so much fun. I've never related to you less. What about in the multiplayer? Because they don't get the full roster, do they?
No. So in multiplayer, they have a marks system where you can take up to 4 marked units. That includes characters as well. So like if I took, let's say, I don't know, like Village is a Tzeentch character, right? And then I could then take like 1 Khorne, maybe 2 Slaanesh units or whatever, any combination of 4. So you can take a lot of stuff, but it's somewhat limited. I mean, their playstyle is still pretty much just Warriors of Chaos Rush. Strength-wise, I'd probably put them like on the border of B and A. Like they're the best of any of the, like they're better than any of the monogods because they just have more variety. And but they're still basically all the same faction. Like all 4 of the monogods plus warriors are all basically very similar play styles. Like Tzeentch is the only one that has any major difference because they have a lot of missiles. But they're good.
I guess could easily be A then as well. Since it's like basically the monogods, but you can choose more stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't have any problem putting them in A instead of B.
Excellent.
And then one of my favorites, Wood Elves. I argue they're like, I mean, A tier. They're not S tier, but it's like, dang, they're really fun. They're super strong.
Yeah,
I think the campaign is definitely the most unique there is because it actually has structure, which most factions don't have.
Yeah.
What concept?
What a concept.
Yeah, when they first came out, I remember the rework, I was playing it, and like very rarely do I get this DLC and I play it for a video and I'm like, I kind of want to play more just for my own enjoyment. But I remember doing that with the Wood Elves because it's so fun unlocking the deep roots and be like, right, this is my magical forest. I'm going to work here for like 15, 20 turns. Eventually you do get to the point where you have like a doom stack with Orion and you just go immediately take out everything else instantly and then it's done. But no, definitely a lot of fun. And their roster is it's good. I like it. I don't love it, but it's pretty fun.
It's decent, and it does what it intends to. I think
it's very thematic.
I love Orion. He's such a meme on my channel because I don't know how we started, but like if any character is like Gaston from Beauty and the Beast in Warhammer, it's easily Orion. It's like like no one eats eggs like Orion or clothes like Orion.
So funny,
command with entire song.
In the multiplayer community, the Huntsman General, the generic lord for Empire, he's Gaston, right? Like in the multiplayer community. So that's funny.
How do the Wood Elves fare in multiplayer?
They're probably the hardest faction, one of the hardest factions to play well, but if you play them well, they're like so good. So it's tricky. I'd probably put them somewhere in the middle of the pack, like B or A, just because they're, like I said, they're tricky to play well, but if you do play them well, they're very strong. That tier is looking nice.
I'm gonna say, you sure you're not color coordinating this?
You're just color coordinating these, aren't you? It's like after 2 hours, like, please,
if you'd done that as like a troll the whole time, we hadn't noticed, I'd been so impressed. But unfortunately, the rest of them are scattered. All right, finally, Chaos Dwarves. Honestly, pretty high, I would say. They're very strong.
I'd say S tier.
Yeah,
they're so
I
strong.
like their multi-resource system too. It's fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
S or A tier.
Even with all the limitations that they try and put in place to the armaments and the whatchamacallit unit limits and the upgrades, like by the time you get to the end game, you're just printing armament, so it does not matter.
Yeah.
And then their roster's just also incredibly cracked.
Yeah, and then you also have you just to like boost your economy, you can just have a bunch of cheap goblins with Gordus. I like how he always has to say it with an accent as well. Gordus every single time.
Should have had a 4th legendary lord if you ask me, but what do I know?
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem with them is that all the campaigns kind of devolve into the same thing, which is like take over the nearing areas, fight somebody else, go and fight Grim Gore, and then you go and do other stuff.
A little bit.
But the caravans work well. Everything works pretty goddamn well.
No, the caravans don't work well, let's be honest.
I think caravans are concept.
I just did the Drosath campaign, Brasorath or whatever it's called. And I could do caravans throughout the entire campaign. The only thing that actually gets me is that it's goddamn chaos Simlish constantly. Like it's just nonsense. Once you start listening to it, it's just it's just constantly. It's like one of the Sims would go and say it, or like after I got.
We should do another episode edit. We do a tier list of how annoying the faction's voices is to constantly be clicking on them.
The funniest one that I love clicking though is ASMR Skink Oxyodl, because it's always just like exactly
I quite like the sisters because I quite like the difference between the one being nice to me and the one being mean, and I don't know what I like more, but I think I like actually being talked down to quite a lot.
Yeah. Anyway, multiplayer Chaos Dwarves.
They're good. How good though?
Flags.
That A tier is looking so crowded. I think probably A tier, honestly. Yeah, because like with a lot of factions, they're very good. They have a lot of really good tools. Yeah, in terms of vulnerabilities, they're arguably a little bit vulnerable to getting countershot. But then, like, you can scale enough into your own missiles to not have it not be a problem. I don't know. They're fine. They're good.
That's it. We're done. Goodbye. Gone over.
Well,
it's just interesting to see the difference between. There's definitely some factions that are sort of hovering both around the same area.
I mean, like most of them do, except for
I don't think there's many.
Which one was this? No, but they're all like around the same area. That's kind of the thing. And then what I also want to show to people, because you're mostly doing land battles and not domination, right? Yeah. So just in battles.
Although I would factor in. Again, I'm not an expert in domination, but I would factor that in a little bit in my multiplayer rankings. But it's for the most part, if a faction's good in domination, it'll be good in multiplayer. There's some exceptions where like speed makes a big difference. Like Slaanesh, for example, is pretty bad in land battles.
I love how you don't recognize this as a real mode. You're like, if some stuff is good in domination, it will be good in multiplayer as well.
Yeah, I mean that's my bias, but what can I say? If you like domination, you're out there. That's fine. Enjoy it. Play it more. Actually,
there you go, monsters.
I do like domination. Sorry, what?
It's like, oh yeah, we just got role player factions. You're standing there in your maid outfits. It's like, factions?
What factions?
Honey, it's time to play domination. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Damn. All right. Well, that's a train of thought I don't want to continue, but it's like pretty close though on all these dudes. The only one that's really like sticking out to me is like Lizardmen.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lizardmen and Kislev are the two that are S tier in multiplayer, while their campaign mechanics are not that fun to play.
Yeah, I mean, like I would still argue that Lizardmen can be higher up because they are fantastically strong. That's just there's nothing wrong with them. They're just like a little bit boring.
I'd say both in both cases, it's not the fact that they're not powerful. Both Lizardmen and Kislev are very strong on the battlefield. It's just that they're quite boring on campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
mechanics wise, apart from say for example Oxyotl, who has actually quite a good. What I like about Oxyotl is the ability to travel around the map, and I think there needs to be more travel mechanics in the campaign in general, which is why I think the Wood Elves work quite well, because you do jump all over the map.
In fact, every time they introduce a teleportation mechanic, a little bit of my soul dies because Wolfric doesn't have one.
He should.
He should.
Norsca rework, please, CA.
Yeah, I mean, he's literally the only dude in the lore that has a teleportation mechanic. Like he in the lore that he has this, because he has his boats that is blessed by all the gods, and he can teleport anywhere. Like he goes into hell like a warp travel in 40k basically, but just a boat, and like that's how he travels around. But like now he's the, I mean, technology wasn't there yet when they made him, I guess. Still,
they just need to repaint the Oxyotl mechanic and slap Wolfric with it, basically.
That would be pretty easy, actually.
yeah, it was, yeah. I'm always in favor of not repainting mechanics, make a new one, because they are a good company that can make good stuff.
They can, but let's be honest. If we want something, we may as well.
Yeah, but I don't think that we should bargain like that with a company. They're a soulless entity machine that doesn't need our pity. We should demand more.
So after Star Wars,
it's not like I'm begging. It's more a case of
on my knees,
have
right here.
Expectations. I know if I go, I want a full mechanic, they'll go no. If I say, could we repaint this mechanic? They'll also say no. So I guess it makes no difference. Sure, make a whole brand new mechanic. Fuck it, whatever.
They should just have like somebody glows up, like some dude who's won like 3 battles or something like that. A lord somewhere. He glows up. You can travel there, and then you can just travel wherever the heck you want once you defeat him. Because like, oh, maybe battles with cooldowns and shit like that. Don't like nobody else has that. Like even Wood Elves can start doing it like every turn sometimes.
I just think we need to, we need to give them something they can do. Something like this settlement has, mine in the name of it. Could we maybe put a mine in that settlement? Something low level, like something like that.
Man, you had to bring that up. Why? Video. Okay, for some people who don't know, when we had like early access to
OG Warhammer 3, isn't it?
To Warhammer 3, I said the mines of Nanbai Jing does not have a fucking mine in it. Like that's my problem. It was the most upvoted feedback from the content creators. And how did they fix this in the implementation of Mortal Empires? They did it via removing the entire region. That's why there's no mine of Nanbai Jing in or whatever it was called in Immortal Empires as well. I'm guessing, at least from Spice. But like, nah, they didn't want to put in a mine there really, really badly. So yeah.
I mean, it does sound very much like something they would do, because I mean, when people complained about all the minor settlement battles, what do they do with them?
They just took them
them, yeah.
They just ripped them out. Yeah, exactly.
Because in the
okay, we'll take it.
Because when they start the campaign for Miao Ying, they say the rebels are funding the rebellion from the mine. So it's like really, really like, they really highlight the mine. Anyway,
maybe it was supposed to be a bit of a conspiracy thing, like they're funding it from the mine, and the answer is, yeah, but what mine?
There's no mine in the mine.
Oh shit!
The mine is all people.
It's a cookbook, and yeah.
Oh yeah, the tier list though is incredibly interesting to see that things are very close. Like if it's one tier away, it's basically the same but with different interpretation on it. Some of these things are stronger than it appears on the list as well when you're playing it, but we have to do relative stuff. I still don't know why high elves are at B tier, but that's just like one of the mysteries. Like where did the mine go? Where did the mine go? God damn it! It's really just gonna one day. One day. And yeah, some changes there, but it does also highlight how difficult it is to actually make a good, campaign mechanic, I guess.
I will also preface this, well, I guess postscript. This tier list, if you were to ask me like 3 days from now, would probably be different. Like the multiplayer stuff changes even without patches. Like people will like figure out and do tactics and strategies and sort of the meta shifts, if you will, even within a patch. So like this is very much kind of all up in the air.
That's actually one of my that's one of my issues with balancing from Total War multiplayer, actually. But the player base isn't that large. It's still like surprisingly large, but compared to like I used to be really into StarCraft 2 and in like League of Legends, stuff like that. And the player bases are humongous. So there's always someone trying something. So the meta doesn't move like as fast as in those. So in Total War, they might balance something for just a handful of people that came up with a meta, while the solution might be there, but maybe not as well. But sometimes that probably happens just because the player base just isn't that large. But still, I guess it's the best like balancing a tool they have anyway.
Yeah, I mean the multiplayer balancing that's like a whole 2-hour discussion in of itself, because there's a lot to go into there. But the biggest thing people need to realize is there's one guy working on this. Like there's literally one guy who has to implement all the new units and do all of the balancing for multiplayer. So it's like he might get an afternoon to do multiplayer balancing literally in like a patch cycle, and that's it. So like people have a lot of expectations about what things should be and how they want things to be, but for the most part, like I am of the opinion the less changes you make generally the better. Like small incremental changes over time generally are better than big sweeping changes. And yeah, and as far as they are concerned, like Creative Assembly, they don't choose to put the resources in to do anything more than that. So that's what we get.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that a lot of people always blame multiplayer for balance changes, but in the end, you're just as happy as we are.
Yes.
If anything, multiplayer seems like a tad more balanced because there's more stuff at the top, which is what it's supposed to be. When everything is good and fun, that's when like they've actually managed, right? There's not supposed to be an F tier when you make like game factions. Like if you sit there with answers in hand, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna make this, and it's gonna be shit. That's what I like. Relative shit compared to the rest of the stuff. That's what I aim to do. Like everything is supposed to be good with a 50% win rate.
Yes, ideally.
Yeah.
They do a pretty good job, all things considered. I mean, there's like getting close to 1,000 units now in this game, probably. Like literally.
Yeah.
You count all the variants and everything.
Yeah, we're getting close to 100 factions as well. Like StarCraft 2 struggled for 12 years to balance 3 factions.
Yeah.
Like, dang. Like if they ever get close, if we get like at least a third more into the A and S tier, I mean, that's great. That's just where we're supposed to be.
Probably.
All right. I think that's wrapping up the episode.
Say, can you be bothered to do what we've been playing, or is it a bit late for everyone?
Sorry?
Can you be bothered to do what we've been playing? Or?
I'm easy.
You know, what we've been playing, the wrap up.
We talk about other games we've been playing other than this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Where we've been enjoying ourselves.
I recently jumped into Fallout 76 after watching the TV show with some real life friends, and have been having a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, that game gets like a lot of unwanted crap. It's not like the best game, but it's like it's actually a good game now.
Yeah, it's especially if you get it on sale for like $10-15. Totally worth it.
Yeah. It definitely has this issue, but like people really never forget a bad launch. It sticks around for so long in people's minds.
Are you taking notes, Creative Assembly?
I've never really played Fallout 76. Is it like a survival MMO type thing?
It's multiplayer Fallout 4, if you've played Fallout 4.
Yeah, it's basically more polished Fallout 4, essentially.
Yeah, it has some quality of life updates. There's not as much settlement building. It's more like you build a shop for other players to come buy stuff. But...
yeah.
Okay. I have been considering playing New Vegas again after watching the series because it was really good.
New Vegas is really one of those games that is so good that people really forget how insanely jank that game is. That game is really held together with like sticks and glue, really, and the sticks are just like propping up some of the parts of the engine, basically. Like it's so janky. It's insane. Good game though.
I played SteamWorld Build recently. I managed to pick up all those games in a bundle. It's pretty good. I started like another one with the DLC, and it feels pretty much like the same game, but there's robots.
Yeah, I tried that. Is that not a game that Did something happen to the developer?
Probably.
Maybe.
Yeah, probably. I get the feeling.
Yes.
I get the feeling. I remember reading something about how some of the developers been annihilated or something.
Again,
Could be entirely
probably.
wrong.
Oh yeah, it's Thunderfall. They had some layoffs, didn't they?
Uh,
SteamWorld build was good, but all it did was really make me want to play Anno.
Yeah, that's if you've looked at Anno and you think that looks a bit too complicated for me, then a SteamWorld build is kind of a good gateway into that because it's fairly straightforward. It's all right. It takes like 6 to 8 hours to do a run, so it's okay. But like now I've done one and I've tested the DLC. I'm kind of like thinking about just shelving it because there's not really much replay value outside of that. If you ask me.
oh,
You
I've been
you
playing.
unlock new buildings to use in other cities in future playthroughs of the same thing.
Wait, what?
So you finish. So say you finish this map, like map
Yeah.
Cowboy Town, and whenever you play another playthrough on one of the other maps or that map again, you'll unlock this building. And I think I got like a train station enhancement that makes it arrive faster, and I get a discount on purchasing certain items.
Yeah.
So that's the way to encourage you to play it over and over again. But apart from that one building, it'll be basically the exact same game.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't make me want to play it again.
Yeah. But it's alright. I got it for pretty much dirt cheap because I got it in a bundle on a sale, so I'm not bothered.
Nice.
AKA
I've
how I
been playing the
buy
new
all games.
Stellaris DLC.
It's good. It's like the best one in so long.
It is good. Have you tried the nanite?
Yeah. It's good.
How much lag did you have?
None actually.
What?
Damn, skill
I don't know. I like.
How are you failing at this?
No, I didn't get in lag. I don't know where I was supposed to get lag.
The fact you have
Maybe we
like,
started-
like 300 fleets.
Oh yeah, I didn't manage to play super long set to get 300 fleets. You see, in my wars, I lose a lot of ships, so they get used up.
Well, that's where you're going wrong because you're not doing enough nanite. So basically, the robot factions can now spec into either being virtual, modular, or nanite. And if you're nanite, you can set up star bases to start harvesting nanites and set your planets to like produce nanites. And every 5 years, the amount of resources increases, and it also has a chance to spawn ships. So the longer you go, the more nanites are being generated on the stational planet, and then the more fleets. So it gets to the point where every 5 years, it notifies me that I may have 1 or 2 new ships, and then I have to go down my list, massive fucking list of new spaceships. I kind of go, okay, I'm going to group these 2 together, and these 2 together, and these 4 together. And then after about 10 minutes, I'm like, okay, now we move everyone over here, and I end up, if I go into the system, I've got like a fleet list that's so large it doesn't actually fit into the window because they're all stacked on top of each other. And then when anything starts shooting, I have to sort of sit there and watch the slideshow as it goes down to about 2 FPS. But
That's fun.
I kind of can drown the world in grey goo, which I quite like.
Yeah, that is
So,
nice. I've done all of those essentially. They're all pretty cool. The synthetic fertility one is like really cool starts, because basically the start is like your population is dying. They can't have kids. You have a set amount of time before the last person dies to upload everyone into the cloud, and they can live in their own little like fancy MMO worlds or whatever. But like after just a couple of years, everyone's dead, really. And it's just a cool little a cool start. It's fun.
It's great the way that there's so many different play styles now that I've got this DLC. I've tried one. I haven't tried any of the new Origins or the other 2 synthetic Ascensions, and I could play that game for probably 300 hours to try out everything that's in the DLC easily.
It's such a good game, man. I just love playing it. I used to always do like a Mind Flayer Empire as well before Baldur's Gate 3, when nobody knew what the hell Illithid was. Just like this corporate entity. that was like had PR agencies on other planets. They're like, you can go to other planets. Yeah, you can live there, work there. And then you also can become like at a heightened state, maybe become an illithid as well. It's just putting parasites into them, and turn them into one of us instead. And that was like the entire thing. It's like spread everything via PR, vacation agencies, become this horrible military dictatorship corporation.
That does sound pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Solaris is one of those games that I've never bought because I don't think I have enough time to get addicted to it.
Yeah,
I know I would. I know how good it is, and I just maybe someday I'll have time to play it.
I played a couple of games, but Line War was pretty cool actually. They hired me to do some stuff, and then like the developer sat with me to explain it because it's a pretty complicated game. But it's basically like the lines that you see like in a World War II documentary, where it's like arrows point to places, and like they're just like trying to get soldiers over there and stuff. It's like really cool once you get into it. I know, like I don't want to shield too much for it because I did get hired for it, but like, damn, that was really, really good actually. They did not pay me for this podcast though, so that's for free.
That looks actually really interesting.
Yeah, it's like 90% on Steam as well.
It like kind of makes my tummy hurt, but like just the right amount.
Another game though is I managed to get my wife to play Valheim with me in the evenings.
Nice.
Valheim is so good.
I've heard a lot of really good things about Valheim, but I've never just the same way that I feel like if I got into it, I would have no time for anything else.
Yeah.
I
It's
spent
much of my youth playing modded Minecraft, and it seems to be in that sort of same vein of you can play this forever, and all your time will go.
Yeah, I think like a lot of people do like the stuff there is, and then just stop more like a lot of time. But it's good. It's a good survival game.
And anything else?
I don't know. Songs of Conquest got released today as well. That's something I'm hyped.
3 D&D tabletop groups. I don't know if that counts.
It does count.
3.
Holy
yeah.
What kind of characters do you play?
So I'm DMing 2, and in 1 I'm playing a necromancer who hates undead. He's like feels very bad about being a necromancer and thinks that corpses smell bad, and
is he like
fit by bad or something?
He joined a cult on accident, and anyway,
as you do,
this can happen so easily.
Does he treat the corpses like middle management would? Like, oh, there, you filthy bastard.
Don't stand too close to me. You just stand over there.
I've always wanted to play D&D, but I never have.
Yeah, same.
I got the D&D Lego sets.
Oh, it looks so good. I'm saving up for it right now. As you can
it's actually really fun to build. I'm at that age now where I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna do my hobbies. I don't even care.
Right. The D&D is fun if you have a good group. That's the biggest thing is finding the right group. But
hello, there's 4 people here.
I think if I
one
signed
who's
up for
admitted to
group,
knowing how to DM,
my wife might kill me. But
she doesn't need to know. We can be very discreet.
Now you guys are all in Europe. We could do it in the mornings. So no one would know. It'd be during work hours for me. My boss wouldn't have to find out.
See, perfect. Oh, I do kind of want the D&D Lego now. It looks great.
It's it's good.
Everything.
Also,
I always.
There's a Beauty and the Beast set that comes with a giant black dragon that I was like, it's Disney, it's Beauty and the Beast, but like that dragon though, I could give the castle to my nieces.
And that's being a good uncle, you see.
Yeah, exactly. No, there was no dragon that came in this set. I don't know what you talked about.
I always think about that old copy pasta. Like I put on my robe and wizard hats every time someone says D&D.
I shoot the darkness.
I cast level 3 eroticism. You turn into a real beautiful woman. I meditate to regain my mana before casting level 8 Cock of Infinity. Spend my mana reserves.
Have you,
And then just I steal your soul and cast lightning, level 1 million. Your body explodes in fine bloody mist because you're only a level 2 druid.
The only problem with D&D is that casting, it just seems like a ball ache with all the slots and stuff.
It's a little bit to learn, but it's not too bad once you get the hang of it.
I just remember playing Baldur's Gate 3 and always saying, look, I don't have any spells, I need to have a rest. And everyone will be like, no, we don't need to rest. No, we're not going to rest.
That's when we play Baldur's Gate. You
No.
just like use all your spell slots in conversation. Like, just save them. It's going to be okay.
It's so rough. I spent all of my spell slots saving you guys from dying horribly, and then you just complain when I didn't heal you because we hadn't had a short rest, even though I've been whinging about it for the past half hour.
I think I threw it off a cliff a few times as well. Just for
Yeah,
pleasure.
you did. Yeah.
Although it was hilarious.
Name something more satisfying than throwing people off cliffs in Baldur's Gate.
I threw him off a cliff to hit Harpy, and I think I got like a crit or something. It was just one shot. It was the most glorious moment I've ever witnessed.
Incredible.
The only other thing I've been playing is RimWorld, the new expansion, the Anomaly expansion.
Oh yeah. It's when he's going like, oh no, a horror from the great beyond. I'm gonna trap that in my
Right.
basement.
I've got a BDSM sex dungeon just for you. Now time to milk you.
Literally what you do in that.
It really is. But don't milk them too much, otherwise they get away. But I hadn't actually bought any of the expansions. So it was a bit jarring going from having not played RimWorld for several years, going from base RimWorld to RimWorld with all the expansions. It was kind of mind-blowing how much stuff has been added to that game.
Yeah, it's really like, oh, now I just want to dig into this wall, and someone's like, do you want to become a feudal lord and a mind wizard?
Yeah.
You want to catch the Eldritch Horror, baby? You ever think about vampires?
Yeah, so it's like a whole, like even just starting the game, there's a whole new bunch of stuff that I did not understand and had to go to Wiki to learn very quickly about.
Yeah, straight away, it's just like, so you want to start a colony? What religion are they?
Yes. How many eyes do they have? What? I don't know. I didn't really.
Do they like dark places? Do they like to hurt? Tell me all these things. I'm RimWorld.
Exactly, which is really, really cool. But yeah, if you feel like you want to milk Eldritch Horrors, then definitely give that a go.
It's not something that's ever crossed my mind, but now that I've thought about it, I actually
Now
think
that you've
yes.
thought about it, suddenly you're thinking, well, that does sound like an
Lovecraftian
exciting way to spend a Friday afternoon.
Very Lovecraftian. So long as you know about the Eldritch Horrors, the fascination can never go away.
Exactly.
I think my dog's crying to go to the bathroom, so I'm going to have to wrap this one up.
All right, lads. Thanks so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
No, thanks.
Thank you so much for coming on here, being our guest.
Yes, thank you ever so much.
It would have been a really terrible
Fun to learn
multiplayer
about multiplayer.
versus single player if we didn't have a multiplayer person here. So, you know.
That would have been
If I had
tricky,
actually
yes.
slept through the whole thing, that'd be awkward.
We'll just pretend that didn't happen. Well, that'll be the
We
preamble.
would
Just us
have just done it
complaining.
a different day, that's all.
Yeah, we were getting ready to clock off. I was so excited to relax, but no, instead we got to do this.
No.
We're all rounding off the other thing as well. It's like, well, let's just call it night then and just relax.
Go spend time with our families. No.
Nope. Do a podcast.
Fine.
It was good times.
Yeah, it was good times then. All right. Thank you all for listening to us. We were the old Grumblers with Dav Place. And see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.